everybody can tell, you'll see that I'm actually broadcasting this from my home in London. So we're still here though to help you out this evening, and we have got an action-packed live coaching session for you where I'm going to be teaching you loads of really practical tools around both how you can create the spark and how you can also get in the right mindset to receive it. As I've spoken about before, when we think about the spark, we often think about that magical moment when we're on a date where we just feel incredible and we feel an immediate strong connection to someone. However, as you're going about dating, you may be already feeling demotivated, that you're just going on loads and loads of dates, and for whatever reason, you're not able to feel the spark. Or maybe you are feeling the spark, but your dates aren't quite feeling the same. Maybe you're ending lots of dates with that awful message which says, you seem like a great person, but unfortunately, I just wasn't really feeling that level of connection to you. So tonight, whether you kind of struggle to put your intentions across, find flirting a little bit awkward, or are unsure how to show someone that you're romantically interested in them, being more than just a friend, or if you're on the whole other end of the spectrum, and you would actually just love to feel something for someone on a date, but at the moment you're just going on lots of dates which aren't registering your interest, this is the session for you. And what I really want to put across to you is actually feeling and experiencing the spark, whilst we might think it's just down to sheer luck of who turns up on that date with us. I think there's so much that we can do as individuals to help us get in the right frame of mind, where if there is an opportunity, we can either feel the spark or we can feel free to get into our more flirtatious selves. And also, so then we can understand that really the spark is so much more about our state of mind and how we interact on our dates, rather than something that just happens to us. So during this session, first of all, I'm going to be giving you some ideas around your mindset so that you can make sure that you're turning up to your dates, whether they're nice video dates or ones in person, how you can stand the best opportunity to connect with someone. Following that, in the next section, we're going to be going through some very practical tools around how you can actually pay more compliments, have those flirty conversations, and make your messaging chat more exciting. Finally, we're going to finish off by looking at, I would say, the classic way to create a spark on your dates, which is going to be all around how you can pay a killer compliment to someone. So there's going to be some really useful skills and hopefully some great mindsets for you to take home this evening. I would also highly recommend you stay watching for the whole session, because after this first live coaching hour, I'm going to be doing 30 minutes live Q&A. So it's a perfect opportunity to get your dating questions answered tonight. There is still time to submit your questions. You'll see there's a little feedback box on this page where you can submit your questions directly to me, and I will be answering as many of them as possible. And if that wasn't enough incentive for you to join in and send your questions in, what I can also say is we have some amazing prizes for people who do send questions in. If you're not yet a member of our incredible community here at Match, you will stand the opportunity to win 6 months free membership with Match. So plenty of opportunity there to hopefully try out some of your spark creation skills. And if you are already a member of Match, you will win access to my home study program, Unite. So that will take you through tons of really practical dating advice and tips. So as I said, I'm dating coach Hayley Quinn, and tonight we're going to be looking all about how to create the spark. But before we get into that, let's just do a quick recap. So first of all, it's important when you're communicating with someone, we have to establish what your intentions are. So I'm going to teach you how to show someone you like them. And even if in 2020, there hasn't been necessarily the best year for flirtation with all of our social distancing and quarantine, there's still more opportunity than ever before to go out there and create the spark. But before we go into our first section, which is all around your mindset, and remember what I'm telling you, you are actually the person who has the control over whether you experience the spark or not. You may not believe me, but hopefully you will soon. But before we get into that, I have actually already got some questions that some people sent in earlier this week. So I'm just going to take a few questions that people have already sent in. So I loved how this person phrased this question. They write, I'm wondering how much I should go into dating with a fixed idea of what I'm looking for, as opposed to going into it with an open mindset of exploration and wonder and seeing who's going to turn up. So I really love the phrase there, open mindset of exploration and wonder. I think sometimes when we have a very fixed idea of who we should be on a date with, it is just that. It is actually just an idea. It's almost like a hypothesis, and it may not be true to real life. So I think when we go into dating, we have an idea of what job someone should be doing, what kind of first date they should take us on, what kind of hair color they should have. Sometimes that strong idea that's stuck in our heads can actually stop us from recognizing really amazing opportunities when they show up in front of us. So just like you said with being open and exploration, I think a really key factor in creating and being open to that spark is in fact that you choose to experience your dates, go with the flow and see who shows up for you, because sometimes our perfect match may surprise us. So this next question starts, I'm a very young 63, in dress and can-do attitude. I want to attract men around 55 to 63. How best can I do this whilst being honest about my age? First of all, let's start on that point of honesty. I think we can all agree in the world of online dating, it is just so important to practice being honest. I think we want to do that because that's the thing that will get our interactions off onto the right footing. So even if you are concerned that maybe you may not match with as many people as you want because of your age, I would highly recommend not lying about that, because we really want to show that you are feeling self-confident about your age. Also, when it comes to this question, I noticed that there were a lot of questions sent in from people in their 50s, 60s and beyond. So just to reassure you, there are lots of people out there who you could potentially match with. And what's going to really attract someone to you isn't a number in terms of your age. It's going to be all about how you present yourself. So I would advise using new photos. So don't be tempted to raid the archives of photos that were taken, 10 years ago. Instead, get really nice, really well lit new photos of yourself. In my previous coaching sessions, which are still on Match.com, you'll find there's loads of advice there about how to get good pictures. We also want to have a fantastically well-written profile, so that's where you're going to show your personality. And finally, if the people that you want aren't actually messaging you, if they're not messaging you just yet, what you can do then is you can actually be okay to be proactive and send that first message yourself to get on their radar. So the final question that I've received before we go into our first section is how to tackle people who just text talking about weather and saying good morning and good night. So I do understand talking about the weather and receiving a good night or a good morning message, they may not be the most exciting messages that any of us have ever received. But before we judge a person based on how they're choosing to message us, I think first of all, it's really important to recognize someone's intention when they're sending messages like that. So when someone is sending those messages, they're obviously trying to check in with you and show and express their interest, which is actually a really good thing. So rather than immediately shooting that down, we want to take some personal responsibility here to think, how can I bring a bit of spark to this interaction? How can I make that more interesting? And usually a great way to start to do that is, even if someone's talking about the weather, try to make the conversation more personal. Share something about yourself. Even if you say, yeah, I just got soaked training for the London Marathon next year, or I'm looking out the window dreaming of summer holidays. By you talking about your personal experiences and by sharing information about yourself, that gives the other person the best opportunity to change the tone of their text messages and make them far more exciting. And I will be giving some more practical tips coming up on how you can create that flirtation. But for now, let's look at chapter 1, which is all about getting into the right mindset for flirtation.